Hey, welcome. I'm Tobias. I'm going to be talking about big books that are worth every minute of your time. We're going to start with the fun stuff. I'm going to talk about fiction and a little bit of sci fi first, and then I'll dive into some nonfiction stuff. Yeah, let's dive in. First book that I think you should all read, Larry McMurtry's A Lonesome Dove. Oh man, one of the best adventures that you will ever go on. If you want an entertaining journey with amazing characters, this is the one. Larry McMurtry is a phenomenal writer. He writes in such a way that is so engaging and entertaining, and even though it's such a long book, it flows so well. His characters are amazing. It starts with two of these cowboys who get together a crew and they take this herd of cattle from Texas all the way up to Montana. And man, it is a amazing journey, but it is back in the time of cowboys and Indians around, I think like around 1850, somewhere along those lines. I don't know, I can't remember exactly when. But they encounter, dangers with nature, with encountering other Indians, with encountering other cowboys. I mean, it is just a stellar of a book and a story that I think that you will just love, because I certainly did. One of my favorite long books, Lonesome Dove. Can't recommend it enough. All right, moving on. Whew, we have War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I just finished reading this a couple weeks ago, so it is very fresh in my mind. All I want to do is talk about this book. Probably, if not now, one of my favorite, if not my favorite novel of all time now. Such a good juxtaposition between the Napoleonic Wars and high-class society drama. And at times, Leo Tolstoy does a great job of almost making it seem like sometimes the peaceful, or what is supposed to be seemingly peaceful, is almost more stressful and warlike than the actual like front lines of these battles that the Russians are going on. And the characters are so deep and so well done. It just it's more than a story. It's a whole world that you get immersed in. For me, I did have to do it in chunks. It is a massive book. For me, what worked was to read probably like around 300 pages or so, and then take a breather. It's very intense, super techie, not techie, but technical in the sense where, I mean, Leo Tolstoy's writing is pretty much graduate level writing that is super complicated. It takes a lot of time. You have to sit with it. You have to settle in. There's so many prose and beautiful writing that you just need to stop and highlight and dog ear, because if you don't, man, it's just not worth the read. So, but anyways, one of my favorite books. If it takes you forever to read, it's still well worth the read. And now I get to have it in my mind where it's like, I read War and Peace. Anyways, check this one out. Next one we got A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Such amazing writing, and that's why I have it up here, because her prose, her storytelling, and really the depth of these characters is so intriguing. It is very dark and emotional. It has some of the deepest childhood trauma stuff in this book, but it works so well. It's a little bit of like a slow burn to kind of figure out what this character really went through, but oh man, it is so worth it. And it's not redeeming in any way, but it is so insightful, and it's such an amazing, powerful story that I feel like I think it's like over 800 pages. It's not the biggest book, but it is really deep, and for how emotional it is, that I think for a lot of people and for me, it just, you know, you have to take time and really feel it, or else it's not worth it. But A Little Life, so good. Next book, probably my favorite novel of all time, Solenoid. I don't even know how to describe it. It's quirky, it's weird, it's one of the deepest dives into like the inner psyche. I love psychology, and oh man, the psychological dynamic that this character goes through. It is dealing with a Romanian school teacher back in like the 60s and 70s. He tells his story, but then intertwines it with his childhood. In his childhood, man, he was like this sickly kid with tuberculosis. And at that time, the medical tech was not very good. So he went through so much pain and suffering, and he got sent to this rehabilitation center to rehabilitate from tuberculosis. And they just pumped him full of drugs, and this book gets real dreamy and almost trippy. Oh man, but his writing and the prose, I call this like a code orange because I highlighted so probably more of this book than there is, you know, not highlighted. And yeah, but Solenoid, some of my favorite writing, some of the best prose, the best stuff that I've ever encountered. Well, obviously, check out Solenoid. Okay, those are the novels I have for you. Let's switch to some sci-fi. Okay, we have Stephen King, The Stand. The Stand, we have a post-apocalyptic world. I think it's exactly what, but it's a virus that takes out most of the world, and the characters that have survived are really like the ones that go on the journey. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of Lonesome Dove, where it's an amazing cast of characters that goes on this adventure. In this one, he just does an amazing job of going from storyline to storyline, and you get so intrigued, and you're like, oh, what happens here? Oh, we got to go back to these characters. So good. Stephen King, obviously it's a little dark, and since it's post-apocalyptic, but it is far more supernatural than it is. I didn't feel like it was horror, even though it had a lot of, you know, death in it. I'm not a big horror fan, but this one really worked. It's a big book, long adventure, so good. You just got to settle in and enjoy the ride. Okay, the next book, or books I should say. Sometimes when you think about big books, especially if you're reading sci-fi and fantasy, you're gonna deal with a big series of books. So this is Dan Simmons' Hyperion Cantos, the Hyperion series. Hyperion, my favorite sci-fi book of all time. It's a intergalactic journey where there's, I think, around 9 characters, and they go on this journey to this planet called Hyperion to save the world. The whole book is really, the first book is about these characters and their stories, and I think like each chapter kind of talks about their stories, and then how the stories end up intertwining. Oh man, you have action, adventure, you have like political intrigue, religion. It has everything. So good. And every book after, just as well written. Yeah, if I recommend any sci-fi book or books, it's Hyperion. Whew. All right, switching to nonfiction, I got 3 for you. We have The Essential Writings of Ralph Waldo Emerson. Emerson, one of the most prolific, best writers. He was the mentor to Henry Thoreau, who wrote Walden. A lot of people are familiar with that. This one is a collection of his writings, his teachings. There's a lot of prose in here. He's such a beautiful writer. It's a lot more old school writing, but it's so deep. It's almost more comprehensive than the writing in War and Peace. You really got to sit with each essay and really appreciate it for what it is. I think most people are familiar with Self-Reliance, which is the most famous essay of his, I think. But yeah, check out The Essential Writings if you want a deep philosophical book that really makes you self-reflect and step back and think about your life. Along with that, we have Ken Wilber's book on spirituality, Sex Ecology, Spirituality. This one definitely was very life-changing for me and really made me think so much differently about spirituality and meditation and the depths of the spiritual world. He talks about one of his biggest concepts is transcending and including, which is a lot about evolving and maturing as a person, but maturing spiritually as well. He talks about going from I, we to all, or egocentric to ethnocentric to world-centric. Yeah, he's got some fascinating concepts. And here he really outlines and demonstrates his integral theory that is a model that incorporates everything inside with everything outside. I'd have to take a lot more time to go through exactly his concepts in the integral theory, but once you learn it, you could apply that to everything from politics to religion to morality to intelligence. Yeah, highly recommend Ken Wilber. If you're not ready for this chunker, he has much more accessible ones as well. Regardless, check out Ken Wilber. He changed the game when it came to meditation and spirituality. Last one. We got the Bible. Don't turn it off yet. I'm not religious. I just think that reading religious scripture is important for having more compassion and understanding for people that have some type of religious affiliation. And here I have the Bible because it is a big book and it's a chunker. But the Old Testament deals, and it really sets the foundation for Judaism. And then you have the New Testament, which deals with Jesus Christ, dealing with mainly Christianity. And then looking at the lineage of the Abrahamic story that branches off and creates, and then eventually goes into the family tree of which leads to Muhammad, who creates Islam. Those 3 religions are the most popular religions in the world. It's reading a religious scripture is really about understanding another person who has that religious belief and believes in something so deeply, and understanding them more. It's kind of like learning another language. When you learn another language, it's about learning another culture and understanding what their experiences are and why they do the things that they do. For me, when I read this, I took about 10 weeks to read it. And every week I went to a different church to talk to people, but also to listen to sermons and just, well, when I read it too, I was a little more critical and a little more analytical about it, but still I wanted to learn. But I mean, you can see I tore this one apart. This is the chronological Bible. That's what I felt I wanted to know the story in, you know, in a linear fashion, in the way that made sense to me. But yeah, I would highly recommend checking out the Bible and reading it so that you can understand and learn more about people. If you don't want to read the Bible, there's lots of other religious scriptures that you can check out, or you can just, you know, look into Ken Wilber and just explore spirituality. Those are big books. You got any recommendations on big books? Let me know. Yeah, and let me know about the books that I talked about. Give me some comments and ideas. Yeah, that's it. Peace.